What's up, you guys? Welcome to Fightful. It's Sean Ross Sapp. It's July 15th, 2024. Please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, get those super chats and humper chats in. We'll tell you more about how to do that momentarily. We got Denise Salcedo here. Denise, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I have nothing else to add. I'm doing good. I felt
cool
like you set me up for such like a big, I had to make a big announcement or something, but
same intro I've given you for 5 years, almost 5 years that you've been here, Denise.
And I've been trying to think of something different to say each time.
You're still at it, huh?
What?
You're still at it. You still can't figure it out.
Still can't figure it out. It's taken me 5 years. It hasn't clicked yet.
You know, I think at the 5-year mark, I'm going to have Kyler compile all of your best moments here. God. Like Step Host and the Grinch and you knowing about happy endings. And there was the time you almost burned your house down and the time you got hit by a electricity or a lightning bolt, all that stuff.
All that happened?
Yeah. You guys can see all those clips and more at Fightful Scraps at youtube.com/Fightful Scraps. That's our clips channel. It's undergoing a revamp of late, so check that out. We also, I've never promoted this. We have a Reels channel on Instagram too. It's at Fightful Reels. Go follow that, but we'll get to the plugs later on. Leave a thumbs up on this video and leave a super chat or a humper chat to get your question or statement in. I'm going to have more complaints about this episode than usual, although there was plenty of stuff that I liked about it. Listen, we are far from when we started, Denise, when we dealt with some of the worst televised wrestling that existed. But
that's not fair because you're always calling me a freaking hater, Sean. And look at you out here being like, I'm going to hate today.
Oh, listen, there are a few things that I had issues with, but there's several things that I liked.
I'm pretty sure you had issues with the exact same things I had issues with. I get it.
Probably. Get your super chats in. That's how you let us know what you're thinking and what you want to talk about. Or you can go to humperchats.com, HUMPER chats.com. If you're watching on Twitch, on X, my God, our views on Twitter, X are insane these days. So get in your humper chats, all that good stuff. Aston Langley says, Sean, have you heard about WWE signing Delta? I heard that rumor a long time ago. She's somebody that I would expect them to be interested in, but I don't have a confirmation on that. I know Corey was working on some sort of story there. But Denise, I worked on a story for FightfulSelect.com today, the best $5 in the business. Today on Fightful Select alone, we had the Backstage Report podcast, the Weekender podcast. We got the Sour Graps post-show review. I had the Raw plans. We had Ricky Shane Page becoming a free agent, no longer under contract with MLW. I have a free tier post about all this contract or the copyright goofiness going on. But the big story of the day, Denise, I spoke to some anonymous city officials about next year for AEW. And I was actually digging about their current residency of sorts with Collision and ROH at the esports venue, and happen to know somebody pretty high up. And they're like, well, that ain't it. That's not all we're getting here in the Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth area. And I said, and we ended up chatting. I reached out to somebody else and they ended up confirming it to me. As of now, AEW is planning a major scale event in the Dallas area in 2025. Now, it was hinted to me that it would be a stadium show. That leads many to believe AT&T Stadium. After that, I had a couple people hit me up and be like, oh, you heard. Now, anything can change. I just want to make that clear the day that we do this. And there was an awful lot of conjecture. They can't fill it up, yada, yada. I can't base that on a hypothetical. People said that about the first All In. People said that about the most recent All In. We'll see. But what were your reactions to hearing Dallas maybe a stadium show in 2025 for AEW?
Well, I think it's fun because AEW needs to, they need to explore new venues, right?
Sure.
You need to explore new venues, go into different cities, different markets, and whatnot. So, and I have had nothing but great experiences going to any Dallas pro wrestling show that I've been to. Obviously, WrestleMania 32, got to go there. WrestleMania 38, got to go back to Dallas for that. So, I've never been in a situation where I've gone for AEW. So, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what those ticket sales are going to look like. It's definitely something that is ambitious for AEW. But I think that part of what's gotten AEW so far is the ambition that they have brought to the pro wrestling world. So yeah, I think that this will be something special.
I'll tell you what I like. Hypothetically, if it is at AT&T Stadium, I like that it is about 10 miles away from Dallas Fort Worth Airport, because
isn't there what's the newer venue?
I don't care. I want it to be close to the airport, because if there's one thing I hated, it was driving in Dallas. Yes, I want to get in, get out. All due respect to your all cities, I want to get the hell out of there, especially after the experience that Denise and I had in Dallas. Like, first off, myself and the Cease twins, ROH ran an hour out of the city.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
You and I had a booking. For some reason, I'm still taking GCW bookings 2 years later.
That was the day of the clusterfuck.
It was.
And we couldn't get out of the park. I forgot. We couldn't get in or we couldn't get out. Something happened.
We got guilted into staying for the scrum, if you remember.
I was already staying. You weren't going to stay. I was already staying.
Yeah, and then I was told, hey, why don't you stay? We got something big happening tonight. And I said, shit, okay. And then we barely made it back to GCW. And it's so funny. I'll never forget when we walked in, we just see Minoru Suzuki sitting on a steel chair outside the door smoking a cigarette.
I was remember that.
GCW. Yeah.
All I remember from that was you and Josh Barnett having like this bonding father and son moment.
Listen, that was something for me.
I saw, yeah.
Because when that happened, and we did a full podcast on this, I thought they were ribbing me when they said, oh, Josh Barnett wants to do something with you in the ring, because he trained my coaches, and that's how I learned to wrestle, was that style. And I was like, oh, well, ha ha ha, very funny. And then he's like, no, for real, we're doing this. And I was like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how all that went down. And then I remember us bonding with Maven. That was pretty fun too.
That was very cool. Guys, I encourage you guys. There's a podcast that we did called Fightful Tells All. We do these for really any type of bookings that I've done. I do this because I'm like, well, if I give away everybody else's secrets, I might as well give away mine. And C. Delgado says, sold out show Thursday to see you lose to Effie. Buddy, I don't know a clue of what's going to happen in that match. I was just talking to Denise about that before. Not a bit of constructive. This is a shoot. Not a bit of constructive interaction between those two sides.
I can't be part of this, Sean.
You can't. Listen, that match is going to be a goddamn trash fire. A trash fire. But
I can't wait to see that.
Even if you don't watch this match I'm doing with Effie at GCW, please donate to the Dementia Society of America. That's why I am doing this show. It's why I do all these shows for charitable causes. So there you go. Hopefully I'm not doing...
Can I do my own version of Sean Ross Sapp Botchmania? Can I just point out all your botches?
It almost well, I've not botched since I've been back. I think I've botched one move my entire, out of all my 50 matches. But, you know what I botched?
What?
Throwing you over the top rope.
Oh, God. Come on, please. Please. You know what you botched? Not listening to me when I freaking told you where the hard cam was at. And I listened to you instead of me.
CC Bonbon says, why don't you two film the post-Raw show together in person at the Fightful Studio? Raw Talk does. Well, Denise, are you going to move to Kentucky to do this post Raw show?
Why don't you move to Los Angeles to do this post Raw show?
I think it's more financially feasible for you to move to Lexington, Kentucky. Honestly,
I think it's more glamorous if we have a studio out in Los Angeles and we do our show here.
I'm sure that 32 square foot studio would for about $12,000 a month would be great. Listen, you could afford a palace.
Girl, don't depress me.
I'm just saying. Well, guys, check out FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. We do have people saying, how do we get to the Discord? Once you subscribe, you can connect it via that email. Now, I will post something in the Raw update with the news producers and all that stuff that explains to you guys how to do it. But there's an Ask SRS field. We are going to do something a little bit different this week. I can tell you this. I will not be in the mood to do an Ask SRS on Friday after my match Thursday. So Joel and Jeremy are doing one, and then I'm going to do one Monday, assuming I have feeling in my hands and legs.
Bro.
So. SRS getting that Bloodsport match before Joe Hendry. No comment. But Joe Hendry did say that Josh Barnett was pissing him off.
Do you think we'll get you versus Joe Hendry before he goes to, maybe he goes to WWE? I don't know.
I think that people don't have any concept of how large of a human Joe Hendry actually is. Joe Hendry outweighs me.
You're tall.
I am tall, but Joe Hendry's also taller than people realize. He's like 6'2", 6'3". Like he's a big dude. He's like 240, 250, I think. No, maybe like 230, but he's way.
What are you?
Me? I'm about 200 pounds. Right around there. Depends. But I'm like 6'12", so.
Oh yeah, 6'12" for sure. Dude, 6'12" and 200 pounds, bro. You'd look like a pinky.
There are basketball players that are like that. Did you ever see Manute Bol?
No. Wait, is that the really big one? And did he take a picture with the real little one?
Yes.
It's that famous picture?
Yeah, Muggsy Bogues and Manute Bol. He was 7'7" and 200 pounds.
Yeah, that's how I know it. I've seen the picture.
Insane. Anyway, KE775 says, I was thinking the AEW show would be at the Texas Rangers Stadium since it's brand new. Also, the MLB All-Star Game is there this year. Yeah, I think if they're going to do one, it'll be AT&T Stadium. I think the allure of that venue would be very, very nice. Michael says, hey, SRS and Denise, it's my 40th birthday on Wednesday. Well, happy birthday, Michael. I never miss you two on Mondays. Fightful rocks. Denise, you are the best. Well, wish him a happy birthday, Denise.
Yeah, of course. Happy birthday, especially happy 40th birthday. That's a really awesome thing to celebrate.
It is a big one. SRS show us 5 random DVDs from that bookshelf. Okay, I will after an ad break. I will. Michael says, actually, we just read that one. Well, we kicked off with Rhea Ripley, Denise. We didn't get that many answers about her and Dom until later on, which we will get to. But Meet Norma says, sup, SRS and Denise, let's crank. Disappointed there wasn't a stip like Dom on a pole or a cage match for Rhea Liv. Then we got some quality meat slapping from Large Sheamus and Big Bronson Reed. And G. Alexander says, Rhea versus Liv at Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. Thoughts? I think you could probably see this at Hell in a Cell as well. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. But as of now, we get Rhea Ripley challenging Liv Morgan. Fightful Select had reported a few weeks ago that Rhea was expected back before SummerSlam, especially in an on-screen capacity. But we didn't get a lot of answers on Dom, but we did get Liv cutting this more methodical, a little bit more serious, even though she trolled a little bit promo. How'd you feel about the Rhea and Liv stuff that we saw here?
Well, first of all, I was glad that Rhea came out and that she decided to address her championship belt instead of addressing just Dominic Mysterio, because that was one of the criticisms that Rhea was getting before she got injured and had to drop the belt, was that it felt like all of the focus was on Dominic. And of course, it really has been. And the whole entire story has to do most with Dominic and Liv. Of course, the championship is a big part of it too, but let's be real. We're all talking about the love story, and that's what the focus has been. So I appreciated that Rhea went in there, and the first thing that she did was address her championship belt. And I loved where they shot the Liv Morgan promo that she did. I don't know. It looked like she was on some steps or something, but I thought she looked really confident. And I think that is honestly what has been working the most for Liv Morgan is the confidence that she is selling here. And I was sort of waiting for a sign, Sean, because my whole theory has been that Dominic is turning on Rhea. Dominic is going to be used by Liv Morgan. Once Liv Morgan is done with him, she is going to, drop him. She's going to drop him like whatever. I was going to say something, but I don't remember what the saying was. And I was trying to think, what's that one saying where you drop somebody like a dirty something, like a dirty sock? A bad habit. Okay, whatever. She's going to drop him like a bad habit. And so that's
hold on now.
What?
A dirty sock?
Isn't that what's the saying? Drop him like a dirty something? There's a saying. I heard it somewhere. Let me see. Drop him like no, I think it is bad habit. It's him.
That is categorically different than a dirty sock.
I don't know.
How'd the sock get dirty?
Everybody's socks get dirty. That's why you wash them, Sean. Whatever. Drop them like a dirty sock. Drop them like a bad habit.
A bad hobbit.
I'm done.
You are the Yogi Berra of wrestling media. That's what you are.
Is that an insult?
No. Yogi Berra was a Hall of Fame baseball player. Won the World Series a bunch of times.
Look, the point that I'm trying to get to is Liv Morgan is going to dump Dominic when she's done with his shit. All right. Once he's going to fall in love with this woman and she is going to betray him. She is going to hurt him. And I do think that's the thing that's going to eventually maybe get some sympathy from the crowd and maybe people won't hate Dominic as much. We'll see.
How much walking do you think he's going to do after that since he's a bad hobbit?
Bro.
Do you think he'll get the ring that he's after?
Honestly, I could see Dominic being like one of those hobbits. He's got the look. He's got the hair. He's got a stash. He'd be an interesting hobbit.
2LT Cole Photo says, hey, bro, I was working on cartoons of you and Denise. Well, that is very flattering. The ones you did of Alex and Kate were phenomenal and really, really fit them. So this match,
terrified.
Oh, no, they were so good. They were so good.
You're going to come out looking like Big Bird and I'm going to look like Dora the Explorer. You know that's us, Sean. If we were cartoon characters, I'm Dora. Who are you? Yeah. Big Bird? Gumby? Fucking banana in pajamas?
Or Crazy 101 says, is Dynamite Kid Tommy Billington signed with the AEW? Not that I've heard as of yet. Orion Ben says, drop him like a dirty Sanchez. That is not a thing. That is disgusting. Denise, you are a national treasure, says Meet Normus. Crimson says, glad to be here tonight. Need a good laugh. This past weekend, found out two of my best friends since we were 4 have brain cancer, and it's not curable. I am so sorry to hear about that, my friend. I really am. Hopefully we can lighten up the mood for you a little bit. Man, that is a bummer. We got
whoever said Dirty Sanchez. Who said Dirty Sanchez? Because I just Googled the meaning of that, and that's nasty.
Go ahead. Tell everybody what it means, Denise.
The name Dirty Sanchez is a reference to a slang term for sexual act involving feces. That's all it says. Yeah. And then, yeah. Like, that's disgusting. Why would you think of that?
Well, if you're afraid that somebody's going to be looking at your browser history after searching that, we got somebody who can help. Are high pay-per-view prices getting to you? Maybe MLB blackouts, maybe the insane cost of Sunday ticket, whatever it might be. NordVPN.com/Fightful is here to help. You get NordVPN.com/Fightful. You change your virtual location with one click. Maybe you want to be in the West Coast when you can't watch a game on the East Coast. They got you covered. Maybe the pay-per-view prices are just too high or there's too many of them. Switch your virtual location overseas and get the prices that they're paying there. NordVPN.com/Fightful does it all for you. And that's in addition to their password manager, their protection on public Wi-Fi, the ability to use it on all your devices, including your router, your TV. It doesn't matter. They've got you on all those. And a 30-day money-back guarantee. Maybe you're just feeling wild and you want to try it. Well, you know what? In 30 days, if you don't like it, spoiler, you will. You can get your money back. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Somebody asked me to pick up 5 random DVDs from my thing over there. So, ECW Guilty as Charged 2001. My IRL best friend said that I could pick any DVD out of his collection if I bought him his pitcher of beer when we were out watching a UFC show. I picked the most expensive one he had. Sting Moment of Truth. I've never watched it, but it's like a movie documentary thing.
The cover is great.
I just wanted it for my collection. There is Undertaker, This Is My Yard. This is a used one. I need to switch out the case, but this was pretty rare at one point. This is when WWF didn't do documentaries that much. It was 2001. And I was very happy about that.
They used to do those really cool, like little video. Like I remember the Chris Jericho one, the Lita one, little VHSs that they used to do.
Yeah. That was in those. I actually have the Lita VHS over there as well.
Oh, I know that one by heart.
Bret Hart. This one was a big deal when it happened because
when that one too.
When WWE was really, really into doing their documentaries and their home video was a big thing and they were building their library, getting Bret Hart back into the fold was a big deal. This was about 5 years before he popped up. And then I freaking loved this. This was a documentary that aired on A&E in the 1990s. Like they were really capitalizing on the height of pro wrestling. And it honestly is a very, very good crash course of like the first 50, 60 years of pro wrestling in the 1900s that I didn't know anything about. Like I am not a historian. Go to Dave Meltzer for that. But that thing was really, really good to me. It was really interesting. But yeah,
Wait, I want to share 2. Okay, I just have 3. Don't worry. That's all I've got right here, right now. The other ones are put away. I got this one, The Greatest Stars of the 90s.
Yep.
This one's very fun.
I love that one. I love the Yokozuna mini documentary in that.
Rey Mysterio, Biggest Little Man, and then my little CM Punk one right there. But all my other ones are just like shoved away. I really just chose these ones because I really love the covers and I thought it would make for nice decor.
So on Fightful Select, I used to do a thing called Figure Haul, then Card Haul, and then people asked me to go through my DVDs. And I've done one episode where I go through a few of those. I'm going to do one with vinyl in the future as well. But yeah, we got a bunch of those over there. FightfulSelect.com. Meet Norma says, hope Denise is a VPN if she's Googling sex terms.
I'm not, which is what? Oh, God. Now I'm going to be getting some like awkward ads, man. Sometimes I like lend my computer to people like my cousin, like my little siblings when they come over. So they're going to be thinking that I'm some pervert. Because I don't erase my history either. Like everything's out there for everyone to see. I'm not incognito. No one's going to know, oh, Denise Googled Dirty Sanchez on July 15th, 8:37 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a Fightful post show.
Denise, you can read this one because I will butcher it.
But that's the joy of it all. Drop him like dirty calzones, Denise. Did I just mess up in English and Spanish? That's probably why. I was probably thinking of it in Spanish. So calzones is dirty underwear. Calzones. Say it, calzones.
Okay. Calzones.
No, calzones.
Do you think the segment with Roxanne Perez is to introduce a new wrestler to challenge her? I hope so. But how are you feeling about Roxanne as champion right now? I feel like she could come up to the main roster at any time and fit right in.
100%. I think that Roxanne Perez has been constantly proving doubters because one of the biggest criticisms she's gotten was that a lot of people didn't buy her as a heel. And I don't blame them because even then I was struggling because you look at Roxanne and her story and her character, it's so just a natural baby face. I mean, she's the kid that was a fan that ended up making her dream come true. And she actually became a pro wrestler and got hired in WWE. How the hell do you hate that? Like how many people don't like wish that happened to them in their life, right? And so So you connect with Roxanne, and she's such a sweet person. Even when she speaks, she has such a soft-spoken voice. And so she was genuinely just a natural baby face, and they turned her heel, and a lot of people still aren't on board. So she really does have to be constantly proving to people that she should be this heel and in this role. And I think that she has done a good job. I think she has convinced a lot of people. She definitely persuaded me. And at one point I wasn't sure that she was, but she did. And in her feud with Lola Vice, there was a lot that I really enjoyed in that. I thought she killed it in the match with Jordan Grace. I think that she has been taking all of the challenges that she's been given on NXT, and she's been making the best of everything.
Yeah, I think she's killing it. She's great. And I mean, she was always a prodigy anyway. We've got Dominic trying to speak with Rhea. He had brought her flowers. She threw the bouquet at him. This was very like China Eddie-ish stuff. Like there were definitely those shades of that. And you know, Damian Priest, I keep looking at him and I was like, you know, he's right. He tried to warn Dom about Rhea coming back, but he was still worried about Liv and all that stuff. But what I loved was backstage, Jey Uso excited, showing up being like, she's single? Tell me it's true.
And ready to mingle.
And then Dom tries to like fight for her honor. And this is the one where Damian Priest, I'm like, okay, he might have caused this trouble because he was like, you have to show him who she belongs to. And then backstage, she's like, I don't belong to anybody. And that didn't sit well. So she also clears the air with Finn Balor. She's like, listen, all that matters there is that you all got the tag titles back. So we got that wrapped up. And Dominic challenges Jey. Before we get to the match, what did you think of all the backstage chatter before we get to Rhea inevitably telling Dom everything's okay? Because during the match, she ran Liv off, and it's like, come on, you saw what happened. Like, you can't play dumb there. You know that she caused that, but Liv caused that. But this was a threaded element throughout the show.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a lot. I almost feel like I don't even know which part to focus on first. So I guess I'll start with you had mentioned the China Eddie Guerrero comparisons to Rhea and Dominic, and it's 100% what they're trying to do. But it's funny because I've been going back and rewatching all of the SummerSlam. So this is very, very fresh in my mind right now, where I feel like there is no chance in hell that Dominic even touches Eddie Guerrero with how he was presenting himself, like the way he acted. Like he truly, truly made it seem like China was the greatest woman on earth. Like she was so grand and majestic, and he was just lucky to be in her radar. And I don't think that Dom comes anywhere close to Eddie Guerrero when it came to that, when it came to the personality, when it came to the character and how much he showed that he cared about China and all of that. So it's, even though the similarities are there with China and with Dom and Rhea and all of that, it just does not come close at all, in my opinion, especially now seeing it so fresh in my mind. It doesn't come close. But the thing that I do want to mention, though, is that I want Rhea to be more mean to Dominic Mysterio. I'm sorry, I know that's cruel, but I want to see that. To me, that is the payoff. I want to see Rhea Ripley make this man go through hell for being so easily attainable to Liv Morgan. Sean, there's no way in hell that in real life, okay, if we're out here painting the story, right? She's at home for 3 months, watching this on weekly television, seeing another woman put her claws in her man. No, you're going to be sitting there thinking of all of these things, thinking of all of these ideas, thinking of what you're going to do when you get there. And then when you finally get there, she's got to have a plan up her sleeve. Because when she said, sorry, go for it.
Here's the big logic gap. It's like, I'm sorry, but in no relationship that any normal functioning human being has ever been in, do you assume you are still in a romantic relationship with them if you haven't spoken with them for 3 months?
Right. That's what I was wondering too. Like, did they text? Did they call?
Like, I'm sorry, but at that point, if neither one of them had contacted each other, or even JD, Finn, Damian not sending a message back and forth, I'm like, come on. That was a big plot hole for me. I'm like, Y'all broke up, whether you admitted it to one another or not. Y'all aren't together anymore.
I just realized something, Sean. This is the whole classic Friends argument. They were on a break. Were they on a break? I don't know.
I would love if Dom said that. If Dom said we were on a break. Now, listen, I don't know how many people in their demo would get it, but
yes, no, 100%. And Friends is that one show that I think everybody here is going to completely understand. If he says we were on a break, I think everybody is going to get that. But no, it just seems to me like when she kind of like forgave him towards the end, I'm like, nah, that's bullshit. She's got to have something up her sleeve, because I am not accepting Rhea Ripley just taking him back just like that. Ain't no way. You don't go from the top of the show throwing flowers at this man, and then all of a sudden, oh, everything's okay. And then also, just side note, flowers never solve anything, guys. If you mess up, you do not bring, I would be pissed, Sean, if he brought me flowers after freaking being with another woman.
In high school, I broke up with my girlfriend because she was leaving high school to be homeschooled. And I was like, I'll never see her again. She lived 3 miles from me.
Wait, and you broke up with her?
I did. She was a very nice girl.
That's mean, Sean. That is so
mean. We stayed friends. But
is that your most savage breakup?
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. Absolutely not. Nowhere near it.
My most savage breakup I got with, so there was this kid who really liked me, bless his heart. He was very sweet. And all my friends were like, Denise, you need to be with him. You need to be with him, right? This was in high school. And I was like, fine, I'll be with him, even though I don't even like him. So we got together Friday after school, and I don't even want to talk about the kiss because it was so awful. It was the worst kiss of my life. And I was so mad. I was mad Saturday. I was mad Sunday. I came back to school on Monday and broke up with him on Monday. That was my most savage breakup ever. Bless his heart. He was so cute too.
Oh, man. We got somebody saying, I think Dominic should be the guy to beat Sami for the IC title. He can be an old school cowardly heel. Listen, I wouldn't hate that down the line. It seems like what they're setting up for is a triple threat, but I definitely see Dominic as a future Intercontinental Champion. I see a lot of Art Barr in him. I really do. Jay Hudson says, Denise and SRS, how big over a star is Rhea Ripley? If you guys could only pick one, Rhea or Mercedes, which one would you pick? Rhea or Mercedes, which would you pick?
Rhea.
I think so too. Thoughts on Stephanie Vaquer? She's a freaking megastar. She fits like a glove. And we do have Ryan saying, what are your thoughts on the Stephanie situation? There seems to be a lot of heat on her online for what happened with CMLL. We'll start with your thoughts on Stephanie and what you've seen of her. You've interviewed her.
Right. So I interviewed her following her match with Mercedes at New Japan Resurgence. And she is she's a hard worker. Like, her work ethic is just extraordinary. She's a person who basically risked it all. She risked her whole entire life to move from one country to another country, which I'm sorry, but that's just not an easy thing to do, especially when you are at a young age of 16 years old, to go to an unknown country to pursue a career like pro wrestling. I'm sorry, but that's nuts. And so she talks about that. She talked about so much in my interview that I did with her. I thought it was a very good insight to who she is. But anyway, so my thoughts on this were, the second that I saw that press release from CMLL, I knew right away, oh, she definitely signed with WWE, because if she had signed with AEW, well, first of all, I don't think that AEW would have just like swept her just like that off of CMLL since they're business partners, but also they would have had her still fulfill her dates, right? And she didn't fulfill those dates. And I mean, personally, it's hard to say, right? Because you're going to WWE and that's huge. And they clearly wanted her for those Mexico shows, and those dates were going to, conflict, right? So I 100% understand, like, hey, I'm going into this new job and I'm going to, try to make them happy, right? Because they're your new employer. But at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with burning bridges in any sort of business, because it's a bad look for just anybody. Because, Sean, if I were to be like, oh, hey, I'm about to screw this company so that I can come work for you, all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, shit, is she going to screw me one day? Exactly. I feel like that's why people do 2-week notices, and you tell them in your job, and hey, I'm getting a new job, but here's a 2-week notices. And usually a good manager is like, okay, 2 weeks notices, perfectly fine. We want you to do your commitment. It's in every walk of life, right? This one was a little bit different, of course, as all scenarios are. But this wasn't the only time they're going to be in Mexico. They're going to be in Mexico plenty of other times, right? So, of course, you never want to burn those bridges, but I do understand why she did it. And it's a hard spot to be in because you don't want to lose out on an opportunity like that.
She no-showed one show to be backstage at NXT Heatwave, which Fightful Select reported on. To me, it's more like just drop the titles and then move on, even though you say that you're not fulfilling dates 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead of time. That's fine. Drop the titles. Now, I also understand they want her at these Mexico shows, and that makes it a little bit more reasonable to me that she was immediately in the ring and immediately working and things like that. But also, I'm like, I don't understand the benefit of screwing over CMLL, because now what you're doing in screwing them over, and there's a person that are in there saying, oh, well, CMLL's contracts aren't real. You better believe they're going to be now. You better believe that from now on, when AEW features somebody on Forbidden Door, they're probably going to have to sign some sort of agreement that says that they're not going to be able to work for WWE for some period of time, some sort of non-compete there. Now they'll get bonus accordingly, but I understand it's her dream, and I'm glad that she's accomplishing that after the hard work that she's put in, because she deserves it. But objectively, AEW New Japan Forbidden Door put her on WWE's radar, and it got done what needed to get done. But
it's complicated too, because because the moment that she started to get big was, that New Japan show, and of course being on Forbidden Door and having that great match with Mercedes. But WWE did know who she was. She had a tryout with them.
Yes.
But she had said that she was far too green at that time to get hired by them. So like, you could argue that, it's weird because you could argue that she was on their radar, but let's be real. AEW gave her that additional platform, at least here in the United States.
That offer was not made until after Forbidden Door. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So they gave her that additional boost to all of a sudden, like, hey, look at her, and she's in this match with Mercedes, and she did phenomenal. I mean, she won that crowd over. And so it's hard to so it definitely is one of those things where, WWE saw that and we're like, oh, we want that. And in a way, like them screwing CMLL is them essentially screwing them for being business partners with AEW.
Yep. We've got Yana saying, don't see how Dom can't tell Rhea she belongs to him, but she can tell him that he's hers. He will betray her at SummerSlam. Liv is rubbed off on Dom. He had a more dominant mannerisms and will increase more. There wasn't a lot to discuss about that match, but also Rhea was like, get back in the ring after she ran Liv off, and then Jay beat him. So, I mean, like, in all, he sort of proved his allegiance to her in this sense, but I think that turn's coming at SummerSlam.
It has to. It absolutely has to.
Yeah. Sheamus defeated, which, by the way, KE775 says, do you think Judgment Day will turn on Priest and Rhea at SummerSlam? Feels like Judgment Day's current iteration have run their course. I could see Liv replacing Rhea and Damian being out, and then you're off to the races with Damian and Finn, maybe.
I second that. I felt this expiration a while ago. I feel like we've been here for this expiration date.
A lot of people asking about Motor City Machine Guns. Where do I think they'll go? And Rock Hard Joel Wood says, I know there's no news. There would be on Fightful Select, best $5 in the business. Where are you leaning for Motor City Machine Guns, WWE or AEW? I just want to make it abundantly clear. I have never reported that either one of those companies are signing Motor City Machine Guns. A while back, there was another outlet that got aggregated that had reported they were finalizing a deal with AEW. I've never had that information. I mean, they're still taking indie dates a month from now. So right now I'm going to say neither. Neither. But if I had to pick one, I would say, they'd probably do at least a WWE run and become player coaches at the end of it, because they are definitely the people that you want coaching. Andrew Brown says, you heard about the PBS documentary about wrestling at the Dorton Arena? I have. I got a press release about it, and we covered it today. Yeah, that's very exciting. Andrew Daughtry says, Denise is the queen of malapropriisms. Oh, man.
Thank you. I will take being a queen of anything at this point.
We got Sheamus defeating Bronson Reed. Good, fun, meaty, sirloin beef sons of bitches match. But I love what happened after this. Now, I don't love that Tyler Bate got injured. I think he tore his pec and had to have surgery on that, which is unfortunate. But Pete Dunne runs out and just starts attacking Sheamus. Now, the thing is, Pete Dunne can have sirloin beef sons of bitches matches with Sheamus, even though he's like 200 pounds, which I really, really like. Bronson Reed still hasn't quite caught his footing here, but I love the idea of Pete Dunne and Sheamus. I really like that.
But see, here's the thing, though. So I was really excited about this match because I'm like, oh, Sheamus, Bronson Reed, like this is really going to be a banger, right? We're going to get a meaty match here. It's going to be hard hitting. I was somewhat disappointed in the match. And the reason for that is I've seen better from both guys. I was honestly surprised that we didn't get as much aggression as I was expecting out of it. And the other thing that I was sort of bummed about is I personally felt like we got gypped out of having a full legit match here between Sheamus and Bronson Reed. I felt like we could have gotten so much more here. And it felt like we kind of got just a teaser. This to me was a teaser. So I was a little bit disappointed in the beginning of this, but then when Pete Dunne came out, I was very thrilled to see him and Sheamus start getting involved in a program. But the fact that Bronson Reed continued the attack on Sheamus, that basically told me this feud is not over yet. So even though I was bummed at the beginning, the fact that they gave me hope that this is still going to continue sort of brought back my my good faith here, because I really do think that Bronson Reed has sort of, like you mentioned, he's just been there. He's sort of been lost in the shuffle on Raw. He's had good matches. He hasn't been disappointing at all. It's just a matter of fact that he hasn't had a story. What's his story? He's big. All right, cool.
Yeah,
what other story is there? Nothing.
That's it.
And so that's sort of what we've been waiting for. And I mean, he's been there since, like, you know, he came back the second that what do you call it? That he came back, like the second he came back to to when Triple H came back to creative.
Yeah, I agree. He's been spinning his wheels, unfortunately. A lot of people talking about Sheamus's theme. Jay Miller says, is Sheamus still in extension talks? He got Def Rebelled. Not sure if those two things are related. He lost his Too Many Limes theme. Listen, I don't have the emotional connection to that theme. In fact, I don't like him. I don't like that theme. I like him. I like Sheamus a lot. But Def Rebel are not doing their best. That's for sure. Any thoughts on that?
Oh man. I mean, when it comes to this, I think we can all sort of do better with that. I feel like the themes, it's been something that people have wanted to be seen an improvement on. Yeah.
Oh man. Van Twinblade says, what cultures do you think are the most out of pocket about their food? I think Italians take it by a mile between the classiest anger of not being able to get one sausage to meaningless stuff like pineapple on pizza. Van Twinblade, you are just begging for us to get canceled to like criticize somebody else's culture.
What's the question?
Which cultures are the most out of pocket about like their food?
What do you mean out of pocket? Like really?
I don't know, but Van Twinblade.
Well, I have an Italian uncle, and he gets very, very like. He doesn't like a lot of the things that Americans do with their pastas. Sure. And he'll tell us like, that's not how people like that's supposed to be Italian. We don't do that in Italy. And so he calls out certain things that Americans do with their pasta that is supposed to be Italian, but it's not actually really authentic Italian.
Yeah.
It's the American version.
Yeah. Pat Faruga says, what's a change you would like to see in a wrestler's contract besides more money, of course? Does WWE have interest in the control your narrative media library? I would like to see travel days counted as dates on a contract, because that is a day that those talent are working. That's a big thing that I would like to see. And I'll say this, not even the contracts. If you are an indie wrestler and your indie promoter is telling you you are not allowed to work for any other indie company, unless they have been malicious and tried to harm that company, you need to tell them to go fuck themselves. I don't care what city, what state it is. I'm not singling out one person. Unless a company is paying you enough money to not work somewhere else, tell them to fuck themselves. They are not looking out for your best interests. Eduardo says, I know he's 72 years old, but bring back Jim Johnston. He's the GOAT. He does not have his finger on the pulse, my friends. He does not. That is not something that you want to do.
But I mean, there's so many talented people out there that are, doing music, making music. I feel like you can definitely find people that are, talented in that. I mean, come on, there's millions of people that are looking for a break in music and looking for opportunities to create. I feel like there's definitely got to be people out there that are far more talented.
We do have WWE Raw to actually talk about. We had a Gunther vignette, and then Damian Priest and Gunther are face-to-face. Gunther, I'm still not out of the habit of calling him Gunther, but he tells Damian Priest that he is street trash and says, it says a lot that your family didn't care enough about you to provide for you like mine did. I'm like, damn. And Ian McFowl says, going to catch up later, but F these asshats for scripting him to call Damian street trash. Why are they running back Booker Hunter racism angle? There were definitely some elements there, and I don't think that's something.
Think it was a translation thing? Does that make sense?
No, it was scripted.
Because the way they made Gunther seem like he was bragging about his privilege.
He was. That's what he was.
That's how he
basically saying that he was designed to go there. But this was like, as somebody says, Diet Booker versus Triple H. And yeah, I was like, that's weird. And he said that Damian Priest didn't live up to it. Now, listen, I know they're trying to get sympathy on Damian Priest right now because he's facing a mega heel in Gunther. And I think that Damian Priest has done enough over the last several months. He has not turned down a challenge. He doesn't run from anybody. He's been a much more like cool heel type of guy that you would rather root for or you love to hate type of thing than, oh, I hate that guy. So I don't think that he needed the help of calling him street trash. I understand that maybe they wanted to try to add some emotional investment, but to me, it did come off very Triple H Bookerish to me.
Well, I mean, he definitely is running creative, so honestly, we're probably not too surprised about that. I mean, that kind of seems on par. Yeah, it was
one of his worst received storylines too.
It was weird because we don't get promos like that from Gunther. Gunther finds a great way to bury his opponents without it coming across in that fashion, right? Yeah. And so I was a little confused by it. There was a lot that I did like about it. I think maybe it was more so towards the end. But I will say this. I thought Damian Priest did a great job at just looking pissed the hell off during this. He was like mad as all hell during this. So I thought he did a good job with that. So even though that it was a little confusing, some of these portions in this promo, I felt that the overall intent, which was to make this feel like these two guys have beef with each other, they definitely succeeded at that.
It's like Shawn Michaels does all of his best storylines from his career. Triple H is like, let me dig up some of my worst. I think next week we'll have somebody screwing a mannequin, and it'll all be fine.
Oh God!
Next week you'll have Braun Breaker in there with.
They'd probably do that to Dominic. Dominic would be out there with a mannequin. They do that to poor Dom or JD McDonough, or they make R-Truth do it without him realizing that he's doing it.
Don says Gunther really said, "Stop being so poor."
Yeah.
Well, Damian Priest then beat Braun Strowman, and listen. I don't have Braun Strowman he's kind of just a guy now. Like he's not going to be top of the mountain, but he has been that. He is a former Universal Champion. He's somebody that they've at least somewhat protected. And Damian Priest just getting a win over him, beat him with South of Heaven, all that stuff. I'm good with that. Your world champion should be able to win some matches like this. And I think that goes a long way into helping him as a babyface, even though he's still, a little bit heelish. How'd you feel about this?
So fine. So I'm still stuck on this whole thing with Damian Priest and fucking Gunther for whatever reason. So for me, I do want to say one more thing about that, and that was that. Hold on, is it known that Damian Priest like grew up like poor or something?
I don't know. I mean, maybe
Or
that was covered
Gunther
on the.
just assume?
Hold on, maybe it was covered on the WWE 24 that I have not yet watched.
Because that's what I'm curious about. Like, was there anywhere out there that, I mean, I guess I don't know.
Maybe I haven't watched 24. That could be it.
I don't know
So
if he
there you
like grew up like had like with a rough life. Like I don't know the details of that. So I'm wondering if if that was like what that was.
And listen, I'm not opposed to these things being used as plot points and stuff like that, because there are people like that. And I do feel like wrestling should reflect reality a lot more, because there are people that are like that, and sometimes you play off of that. Now, AEW did that thing with Juice Robinson last year that I thought was, or a couple of years ago, that I thought was really stupid. But like, there are some lines you don't cross. I don't know if this hit that. I'll kind of see the reception and reaction and kind of go from there. But we got Sonia defeating Zelina in her return match. Now, let me tell you what drove me nuts, Denise. And I just want to make this clear. This is about the person who scripted the line, not about Zelina, the person, the performer. They had this woman say, "Oh, Sonya thinks that she can just come back and move to the head of the line. After SummerSlam, I'll be ahead in the front of that line for the women's championship." She has not won a match since August 4th, 2023.
I don't know why I felt the need to look at the date, and I just realized that's almost a year ago.
I have won the same number of matches as she has on TV since then. That's not what should be happening here. It drives me nuts. Give them some wins. I don't know, on Speed, on Main Event, on something. You can't put Zelina on Main Event and have her beat a local or a Performance Center person. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Ryan asked if I know what's going on with Zelina. They showed her in medical on X and them holding her wrist, and said she sent out a tweet saying, "No words. Hope she does not have heat for what she said on Busted Open this morning." If she had that much heat, they just wouldn't have set up this match for today. They would have scheduled it for somebody else. They just wouldn't have done that. I mean, maybe they could write her off briefly or something like that. I wonder where the hell Natalya is going to be. Like, what's going to be up with her? Will she pop up on this show? Will she pop up on SmackDown now that she's got a new deal? Don't know. But Sonya and Zelina, this was a quick match. Sonya won. I just don't like them promising title or claiming, "Oh, there's going to be a title shot for this person." Hell no. Hell no.
I was so surprised by how short this was, given that this was Sonya's first match back. Didn't even realize it either. I had to like search for that. And truly, I just kind of feel like I don't really know what to make of this. I feel like they could have done a little bit more. I think Zelina has been showing a lot more promise in the ring. You mentioned she hasn't gotten any wins, and she didn't today either. So that's continuing. But they have sort of continued to set up Zelina in the situation where no one's expecting her to actually get this like victory for anybody. And I feel like that's something that I'm going to say for another match that we had today on the card too. But I do think that I like the pairing of Shayna and Zoe and Sonya. I think all of that was good. But yeah, this was a lot. This was very, very brief, which I get what they wanted to do. They wanted to make them look like, a mean group, and it worked.
Yeah. Shayna and Zoe then beat Kaden and Katana. Yeah. I mean, every tag team push in this division is stop, start, nonstop. It's just that way all the time. I want to see a team get a real consistent push. The damn tag champs can't even get a consistent push. They're on Main Event, or they didn't get a push before they won the titles. They ain't got one since they won the titles. What the hell's going on?
That's what I was saying too, that I feel the exact same way about Casey and Casey and Kaden. Oh God, they changed their name so many times. I'm already forgetting. Katana, Kaden, Casey, whatever. They've done that to them so many freaking times where they also set them up for you not to expect anything. And that's sort of the same thing that they were doing for Zelina for such a long time. And she kind of felt like she was starting to get out of that, and she's right back in.
In Simmons says Sonia's a good pick for a mid-card champion. Zoe and Shayna for the tag titles. Zelina is great on the mic, though she roasted them. Zelina is like very quick on the mic. Like she's very quick-witted. I think that it's just I wish they would have any idea of what they would really want to do with her. KE775 says, how many matches do you think will be on SummerSlam? 6 or 7. How many were on there last
7. Year? I know 5 is what they've been doing, but I feel like SummerSlam, I feel like 5 just leaves too many people out, especially champions.
Yeah, I'm looking back at last year. They did 9. It was really 8, but EO cashed in. So I think 7 or 8 works here. And
did you finally set your trip plans for Cleveland?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, me too.
The day that I brought it up. Money. Those
dude, it was why are they charging so much for fudging Cleveland?
Well, let me tell you, I could have bought a house in Cleveland for that much. My God.
You want to know what I'm doing to save money?
Selling crack.
I wish. I don't know where to get the crack from. Bro, I'm freaking because usually when I do Airbnb, I do like the entire home, like just
You're doing the room?
I'm doing the room share with some guy. I don't even know who, but he got some good ratings on Airbnb.
Let me tell you guys. Denise has stayed in some shady places for Airbnbs.
Sean, I'm only spending $200 and I had a $50 gift card. So $150.
There was one time me and a friend dropped off Denise and earlier, she had said, yeah, there's this guy that just sits outside and watches. And I was like, yeah, we're going to walk you up, Denise. Then she gets in her Airbnb and someone had broken something in your Airbnb.
No, it was when I left. They accused me of smashing the mirrors. And I was like, that was not me. And I was hearing noises the whole freaking night. Like, what the hell? They accused me of breaking mirrors. They even sent me photos. And I was like, nope. You guys are either trying to scam me or someone did this when I left. I have no idea. But that one was really, really shady. But anyways, no, this one has good reviews. Oh, and also, you want to know why that place had good reviews, that place in San Antonio? I found out later that they paid people to leave 5-star reviews. So when I saw the original posting, and it had all 5-star reviews, that's because people were getting paid. And I found out because they offered me the same deal. Even after they accused me of smashing mirrors, they said, oh, we're going to give you a $50 gift card.
It's an old Amazon trick.
Yes, if you leave a 5-star review. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm going through this whole Airbnb support with you guys. But anyways, long story short, that's what I did to get a discount in this Cleveland stuff because it was just ridiculously expensive.
Just a reminder, guys, if you leave us a nice 5-star review on iTunes, Apple, or Spotify, Denise will give you $100,000.
Yes.
I'll tell you what else has great reviews. HelixSleep.com/Fightful. How about this one, guys? I just bought another Helix mattress. I have the Sunset Luxe en route to my house. I've got the Dusk Luxe as well. I have just loved how much this has changed my life. I wanted a new mattress a few years ago. I did not want to go to a mattress store. So I looked online. I wanted to find the best reviewed, the most flexible options. HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Before it was even HelixSleep.com/Fightful was that. You go online, you take their personalized quiz. They match you up with the model that works for you. And now we're able to offer you up to 30% off when you use HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Make sure you guys check this out. It is the award-winning Luxe, the ultra premium elite collections. They've got 20 unique mattresses. They've even got kids mattresses. They have plus size mattresses. And here's a great thing. Maybe you're like, I don't know if that'll be worth it. Don't know how I'll feel about it. They have flexible payment plans and financing. They have a 100-night trial, a 10 to 15-year warranty. If for some reason you don't like it, they will come and get it for you and take it away. This changed my life. I went from just being a back sleeper to also being able to sleep on my side. When you do that, you're able to get a lot more sleep, a lot better sleep. And listen, you guys see me with those Twitter fingers at 3 a.m. sometimes. I need my full night's sleep. I got to have it. And helixsleep.com/Fightful makes that happen. They're offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/Fightful. That's helixsleep.com/Fightful. This is their best offer yet. It will not last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. I often say that Helix is the sponsor that I probably use the most because it's, a third of my life in bed. And then another third of my life is NordVPN because it's on my computer and I got to work all day. So between those two sponsors, a significant portion of my life is utilized for them. So check out our wonderful, wonderful partners. Jay Hudson says, SRS question. If you have information about a huge return, do you have to notify the talent that it'll be placed on Fightful or hold off? What is the proper etiquette when keeping it a surprise? So it depends on the situation. I have a direct line to most wrestlers. And if I don't have a direct line, I have a way to contact any wrestler. So if I get information like that, usually I'll reach out of courtesy and say, just so you know, I've heard this. If it's a contract thing, I almost always reach out directly to the talent and discuss with them and say, hey, how do you feel about this information? How do you feel about it being out there? Sometimes they won't want that out there. But listen, rarely does a talent want the fact that they are returning to come out, but that's part of the game sometime. But yeah, I appreciate the question. Drew McIntyre and Adam Pearce meet. Adam Pearce wants to set up CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, but wants Drew to apologize to the 2 referees. Drew says, no, I didn't do anything wrong. You guys have been screwing me over for a very, very long time. I'm not going to apologize for you guys being inept at your jobs. This eventually brings out Seth Rollins to break it up. This one wasn't as inspired as most Drew McIntyre segments. We're getting Punk back next week. He wasn't allowed there today. But that being said, this is a nice little bridge because Drew McIntyre has reason to dig his heels in. He has been getting screwed over. I'm with him.
I'm with him too, man. And I was so annoyed at Adam Pearce because he was trying to make him apologize. And I was like, stop it. Stop trying to make Drew McIntyre apologize for this. Like, when he said you're putting me in an uncomfortable situation, like I'm already doing this, and that. I agreed with Drew McIntyre. I'm like, now you're just pushing. Like, what are you, a kindergarten teacher trying to make peace with everybody? Like, no, he's a grown ass man. He does not need to necessarily apologize for all of this nonsense that's been going on. So I was rooting for Drew and I was irritated at this. I was like, why are you trying to make this man apologize? Anyways, that's just because I love hater petty Drew McIntyre. So I was on board with it. I was glad when he pushed them.
K775 says, is it Punk versus Drew with Rollins as the ref? I don't know where Punk is with his clearance, but I mean, he's been getting physical quite a few times of late. So, yeah. I just, how do you think that one's going to go?
Wait, say that again?
You never pay attention.
No, I do. It's just that I have a lot in my head.
Boy, that's up for debate. But how do you think it's going to be? Drew versus Punk with Rollins as the ref? Or do you think that Rollins isn't cleared? Or do you think Punk isn't cleared and he ends up reffing?
I think it could be a situation where we end up seeing Punk reffing, but I don't want to see it. I for sure don't want to see a situation where we get a triple threat match, though. Let me tell you that. I don't want to see that. This is a feud between Drew and CM Punk, and that is what I want to see. But I don't want to see Seth Rollins as the referee either.
Yeah. Gable wants to recruit the Alpha Academy, but instead they are aligned with Xavier Woods, and Gable isn't happy. So this is another problem so far that I had with this show. Otis is just a guy. And it's just like, okay, well, there he is. And, what's he doing? He's teaming with Tozawa and Xavier. All right, cool. Thanks, man. They had the opportunity for him to be white hot. And what they did was they had him just shove down Gable and be like, see ya. And I'm like, damn, man. As of this moment, I feel like they have really dropped the ball with the Otis turn and separation. Because they're just, okay, great. They're going to help Xavier against the Final Testament next week. Cool. Otis should have been white hot, but they went right into the Wyatts thing, which, fine. I'm glad Gable's getting his family and all that stuff, but it felt like a step was missed. They should have had Otis do the big turn. He really lights up Chad Gable, whips his ass real bad. Then the Creeds join him. Then after Gable sort of gets the upper hand there, then the Wyatts attack. I'm sure they'll come back at some point, but man, I feel like they really should have struck while the iron was hot there.
For sure. I think maybe they misdirected who they thought the attention was supposed to go on immediately after this. Like they stuck with Chad Gable, which is fine because Chad Gable is doing exceptional work. But Otis, though, he is one that got over with this. I mean, people were going crazy every time they thought he was going to turn on Chad Gable. So I feel like they kind of just misdirected some of that. Most of the attention is going over to Chad. And now even with the Creed brothers and everything that we saw unfold with that. But yeah, it kind of feels like now this is just like a background thing, a friendly little reminder that they are broken up, but nothing more, nothing less. We haven't seen Otis do anything. What has he done since then? Absolutely nothing.
Very disappointing. Well, I'll tell you what wasn't disappointing. This Eric Rowan tape.
Ooh. Oh, man.
So they had dropped off a tape at the Pat McAfee show. Shout out Jeff Passan, who was featured on WWE TV. But Eric Rowan cuts this unbelievable promo. Now, after week 2 or 3, I was like, all right. I want to hear from the other people. And boy, did we ever. Eric Rowan said that he was on top of the world. And, he got released and all that stuff. But then he lost a brother. And then when things got better and he thought that his life was improving and, maybe things could be on the up and up. Then he lost another brother. He had no family. He had no will. And then Bo Dallas reached out to him. Oh my God, Denise, this was incredible. This was next level stuff. We've never seen this. He said, and I quote, "We're going to take broken hearts and make beautiful art." This was unbelievable. This was just as good as the first one that we saw from Bo Dallas, in my opinion, because we have that emotional connection to Rowan. We know what he's lost. We've seen it. And it's like impossible for us to relate to that. But I mean, think of how many wrestling fans feel this void in their heart because they don't have Brody Lee or Bray Wyatt. So, they can relate in that sense, but he was side by side with these two guys. This was powerful.
I think that this was one, I almost like this one the most because, and it's hard to say, right? Because the first one from Bo Dallas was really great, but this one was definitely up there too, because when he had talked about, losing one brother and then losing another brother and how his world changed and not even being able to I don't remember exactly how he said it, but it was something along the lines of not being able to stand up or, just the pain that he felt. Man, this is hard because it's part of the storyline, but it's real. And so I hate saying, oh, he did a good job delivering it, because I can't really count it that way, right? This isn't like a promo. This is literally, I don't think it's that hard for him to go out there and say his true feelings. And so it's kind of hard to judge this. And I almost just feel like there was a part where he said that when he lost he mentioned losing the two brothers and that, but when he said the part about him just being Rowan, that was the part that got me. When he said, "I'm just Rowan," I felt like, I don't know what, to me, I don't know. It hit on so many different levels. And I felt like that could have been multiple different meanings where he said, me, I'm just Rowan. Yeah. That I don't know, it just hit differently. Like I can't even explain it. I'm stuck with my words here because how do you say like, oh, this was really good? Like I don't imagine anyone coming out and be here like, oh, this was bad. No, how could you? I don't think anyone thought this was bad because this was like, oh, someone's real feelings about loss.
Yeah. It was so special. It was so good. And for people who might not know, boy, did it set the stage. It certainly set the stage. So Chad Gable comes out and he's like, and this was the most Kurt Angle thing that I've seen him do. He goes, guys, I'm here to tell you all, Uncle Howdy is actually Bo Dallas. That is 100% something that Kurt Angle would have done.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
He thought that he was pulling the covers.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a message. They said, does he think that he works for Fightful Select? Look at him taking food out of your mouth, money out of your pocket, taking everything that I worked for, this guy. But he brings out Bo Dallas and the Creeds attack. Now, this is something we have fantasy booked for quite some time, and I hope we get Ivy Nile as well. First off, let's talk about that connection. They're whipping Bo's ass, and he's just laughing. But the Creeds, I mean, they really lay a beat down on him too. But the Creeds have needed something. They've been spinning their tires for a long time. The most exciting thing they've had was Bloodsport coming up, and Brutus doing food reviews on YouTube that always make their way to Twitter and funny comments there. But I love the Creeds with Gable.
Yeah, this was a thing that I was kind of thinking the same thing of like, oh shit, here we go. Like we're finally getting the Creeds with Chad Gable, right? Which is great. But the same thing that I was saying earlier with Bronson, like they've also needed a story, right? They've been cool. They've been fun. We've been wanting to see more with them, but they needed a story. And I thought, damn, this is really huge for them. The fact that they're not only going to be paired up with Chad Gable, but that they're involved in one of the most talked about stories, or at least one of the most anticipated stories on Raw in a good amount of time with the Wyatt Six. So it does feel like this is going to be big specifically for the Creed brothers. Like, I think they're probably going to benefit most out of like anybody.
Oh man. So happy about this. Then we get the Wyatt Six. They basically make an entrance and then stand in the ring. They didn't do anything. They posed.
They looked cool while they were posing.
They looked cool, but they didn't do anything. Nothing happened.
I thought that they were going to turn down the lights, appear instantly in the ring, and be like, bam, 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 bam. That's what I thought was going to happen. But instead, they came out and did the creepy little dance. I mean, the creepy little walk.
We complain about Jeff Hardy dancing to the ring.
Yeah,
these sons of bitches. Sauntering would have been an improvement. Man.
Yeah, they did not. They took their time. This was Undertaker status.
They took their time here. Sidesuka says they executed the Wyatt segment wrong. It needed to be a no nonsense brawl. Feels like they're doing this, the impervious to pain gimmick with Supernatural, which won't work long. They need to learn their lesson. Okay, that I cannot convey anymore that they're not doing that. A smoke machine is not Supernatural. They are not doing a Supernatural gimmick. They're also not doing an impervious to pain. He was actively selling. He was selling the moves. But we've seen Mick Foley, sort of laugh through the pain in the past. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Right. But I do get it though, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the laughing through the pain was fine. Because it's almost like you're sick, right? Like you're a masochist or something because you like the pain, right? But I think for me, the thing that just kind of took too long was I thought it took too long for the rest of Wyatt Six to come out. I thought they took way too long to get out there, like just for the lights to go down, period. And then once they did, they just took forever to actually get there. And I do agree that I think it had to be a physical brawl, and it wasn't that. And I think people are going to get tired of this if they don't get a physicality.
I hope if it happens again, they do play it like you mentioned, and even Gable will be like, hey guys, listen, if they show up next time, don't Don't even worry about it. We can get some more shit in before they show up. Then the lights go out and then they're back on and you see like Loomis and Rowan behind them or something like that.
Right. I think that would have been something better. But they did look cool though. We'll give them that much. They looked very cool.
Yep. We've got, by the way, guys, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave us a nice thumbs up on this video, if you don't mind. I dropped a couple of interviews this past weekend. Missa Kate and Joe Alonzo, who both had very interesting stories about leaving the NWA. Joe Alonzo told me about getting banned from AEW at one point. Missa Kate told me about her working AEW at one point. Joe Alonzo, a very interesting cat. He has worked in WWE against Gunther. He has worked in AEW against Cody Rhodes. And he was NWA junior heavyweight champion recently. He can talk his ass off. That much I assure you. Check out those interviews. Also, my live interview with Joe Hendry last Wednesday. Check that one out here on the channel and podcast feeds everywhere. Murray says 47th year of wrestling. Love the Wyatts, Wyatt 6, and you guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. 47 years. Hot diggity darn.
Ric Flair. You were going to say hot diggity dog.
No, Ric Flair popped me today because he did. After we had ran this report about how, they hadn't had shit for him, he says, I pitched this idea to turn on Sting before Revolution. Then I never heard from him again. He worked Revolution. He was at Revolution. And he says, Denise, yeah, I wanted us to go out the same way we came in 31 years ago. I'm like, bro, that was 1993. You had already had a years-long feud with Sting, left the company, and were in WWF at the beginning of 93 and had come back. Rick.
I think he's just at that age, Sean. He's just at that age now.
Bro, I've got people sitting here. Hold on a second. At that age, I got people telling me that they need to bring Jim Johnston back to do all the music for these 20-somethings. And he's the same age as Rick.
Which is?
Like it's mid-70s. What are we doing here? Oh, my God.
I don't know. They are there now. It's okay.
Adam Pearce kicks Braun Breaker out, but it didn't work too well. Ilja Dragunov, Sami Zayn ends due to Breaker spearing Zayn in half. I didn't need to see this at the end of the show. I don't need to see this.
We all knew this was coming, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
This is the thing. We've seen a lot of this happening on WWE TV lately. These matches ending in DQ to close the show. And I'm like, I know you're setting up other stuff, but I'm just like, bro, all right. But Braun Breaker ends up splitting this up, or ends up causing a DQ. This is going to become a triple threat at SummerSlam, almost surely.
Oh man, I'm thinking here because I wasn't expecting.
No, you're not. You weren't thinking of anything. Anyway, yes, guys, that's the show. Hey, everybody, party's over. Denise screwed it up for everybody, so let's just go home.
All right, I'm sorry. How about I just end it the way you can consider this a DQ? I got disqualified.
You just DQ'd yourself in the main event of this.
Yeah, I did. Denise screwed Denise. All right.
Yeah, it was a fine match. It ended in DQ. We had the Sami Ilja back and forth. This was a means to get them to the triple threat, but I want to know how Adam Pearce controls his locker room at this point. In kayfabe, Drew McIntyre's running all over the place. People legitimately were screwing Drew McIntyre over. Braun Breaker ain't listening to him.
He did Braun Breaker dirty too. We talked about this.
And then on NXT, you got Ava giving Brooks Jensen extra shots, and then he's immediately screwing things up for her main event. Like, Nick Aldis is the only one keeping people in check. And even then, the bloodline runs crazy there.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe not so much. To a certain extent, he's also keeping things in check. But yeah, it's not really. But hey, I mean, I did think it was interesting to have the show closing with Braun Breaker. Like he was the last image, the rawr. That was the last thing we saw.
Ilja has been main eventing a lot.
Because Ilja's a great freaking wrestler and is hella reliable. So Triple H is like, let's throw him in there. He's gonna have a good match. Just throw that's Triple H's secret ingredient right now. Ilja Dragunov. Just throw him in there. We're gonna get something.
He's incredible.
Yeah, Denise, I know.
Denise, tell the people where they can find you.
YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo. I'm doing daily SummerSlam rewinds. So every single day this entire month, there's a new video going up. I'm highly stressed out. Please check out the videos. And yeah, there's a lot happening there. So YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo.
Guys, please leave a thumbs up on this video. Please comment on the YouTube section underneath this video. I am there chatting with you guys every single time. I want to encourage that a lot more. It helps us an awful lot. Share our videos. We are on Twitter. Even if you retweet the podcast, that helps us so much. I am at GCW on Thursday. I do that to promote good causes like the Dementia Society of America. There are an awful lot of people, especially in our country, that don't have appropriate care for dementia and are not equipped to care for their loved ones with dementia. So please help out these very worthy causes. I am back on Wednesday with The Hump with Jimmy Van. Until next time, guys, we're out.